All right. All right. Who can hear me? Let's me knows.
I can hear you.
Haha, you are still here, you crazy man. Let me turn my camera back on. I can't believe you hung out. Can you turn the volume down on the music?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. You are back. I don't believe you survived. It's so late. Thank you for hanging out, Tim.
Yes, it's definitely late, but that was totally worth it.
That was so much more than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have so first of all, thoughts on bot 1 and 2.0?
So my first thought that I thought of all this was just imagine if Mary Barra was up there trying to answer these questions.
Well, she led.
I mean, there's no way she would have been able to answer those questions. So yeah, I mean, so when obviously we were talking about it before it came on, what were we going to see when it came to the Optimus? I was impressed. That was way more than I thought, and as Lee and I both thought, we thought maybe it was gonna be rolling around. It actually walks.
It actually walks. Yeah.
It walks. And then the functionality was basically exactly what we thought. It was picking up boxes, moving them from one place to another, seeing it in the office setting. What really got me was it watering plants. That showed the functionality of it when it can come to helping you in your home.
Yeah, it was that's a real task. Moving boxes, less impressive, but that's a real task. And yeah, could Mary answer any engineering questions, do you think?
If she already knew the answers to them ahead of time, yes.
Yeah, if she had been coached for show.
Yes. Because and just like listening to her talk, she has the same answers for everybody whenever they talk. So that's Mary.
Yeah. So 2.0, what'd you think of that? Doesn't walk yet, but it looks better.
Yes, and I like how they named it. So Bumble C, like Bumblebee, the Transformer, and then Optimus Subprime, like Optimus Prime. So, and so I like how they did that. So obviously Optimus is going to be the same thing. It's just going to be the cleaner version of Bumble C.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they were able to put that together in 6 months. And Elon said himself, with a team of 500 people in 6 months, they could put together a prototype. They literally did it. And so now they just tweak that prototype and keep making it better.
Do you think it was 500 people?
I don't know if the team up there on stage was pretty big, and each one of those people, I'm sure, had at least 10 people underneath them working. So
okay, that's
probably
fair.
500.
That's fair. So let's see what else. Digital Blade Canada said, Oracle Tim just subscribed, man.
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
Appreciate that.
I'm gonna adjust this a little bit, make it a little prettier. Let's see. What else? So yeah, did you gloss over the way I did in all the dojo talk?
Not all of it. I glossed over some of the FSD, some of the dojo. What did I get out of dojo? I got a lot of notes here. Let me see.
It seems like it's a slightly simplified system. I'm very impressed that they were able to trip the breaker at the substation.
Yes.
By drawing 2 megawatts.
It was like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes, except much hotter.
Yes, and the fact that they're going to use it like ASW, which was nice to see, or AWS, sorry.
Right.
So they're going to be using it just like that. So that's nice to see that they're going to be doing that, and the fact that they're going to be doubling the labeling capabilities by Q1 of next year.
Yeah, and labeling is such a huge task because every day they sell more cars, every day they get more data.
Right. And so now the fact that by the end of this year, they're looking to be doing a worldwide release of FSD beta that is significantly more information and data coming in that they're going to need to compute, and there's Dojo now going to be able to handle it all.
Yeah, and so let's see here. 3 times power improvement, that's pretty good.
Yes. And it did answer our question that it is going to be in Palo Alto. So
yeah, and it kind of already is. Yes. 1 Dojo box can beat 6 GPU boxes. And it costs less than 1 GPU box.
Yes.
That's breathtaking. And yeah, and of course, I would say that that's a little bit of Franz's design inspiration on the box itself, because it looks fancy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and it's just the fact that, the way they stacked it, and these guys obviously got into technical stuff that is beyond my capabilities, but I love how these guys can each answer the questions without hesitation because
Yeah,
they are so in tune to their aspect of the business.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And they've got, and I liked some of the questions. Why are you using tendon style? For the rather than just having actuators at each joint? And the answer is it's simple. There's less pinch points, there's less failure, and there's fewer parts. And the whole thing, there was a lot of in the chat. We had a lot of comments about Boston Dynamics. One person even said maybe they should just buy them. And the consensus among the commenters was, no, it's a whole different design philosophy. It'd be a
yeah.
step back. The Boston Dynamics bot is so complicated that it can't enter production.
Right, and that's the one thing that Elon kept on reiterating was the fact that this is going to be something that they can mass produce quickly and be useful, and you cannot be complicated with that. And so, like they said, going from the tendons to the spring-loaded features, it's just faster and easier to produce that way. So that's the way they've got to do it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're going to have them sellable, like you can actually receive it within 3 to 5 years, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, just like FSD beta
Right.
and FSD. But, that's an aggressive timeline. I was figuring they would be functional in factories for other companies to use by the end of the decade. But the fact that you can actually have it in your home in the next 3 to 5 years, that's...
So that's going to be tough because it's the March of Nines.
Yeah.
You've seen FSD companies get immediately to 90% and within a year to 99, and they're like, we've got this. This is going to be 2 years out. And then the March of Nine begins, and here they are 10 years later, and they can't get out of Phoenix.
Oh yeah, and even Elon said that with FSD. Going through FSD, they hit a wall. They thought they had it solved. They hit a wall, and they had to scrap it and start over.
Yeah.
It happens. So it seems like they've gotten past that now, and obviously the FSD knowledge that they have is going to be utilized in both the vehicles and Optimus. They're already using it. It's the same technology in both. So now it's just a matter of let's get some real world data from Optimus from humanoid perspective versus from vehicle perspective, and that's what's going to grow it there.
And you saw the visualizations through its eyes looks very similar to the FSD visualization. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from the depth of what goes into just determining where the lane markings are is if you're a competitor and you're not going this deep, you are not going to be first to market.
Right, and I mean and this is exactly what Elon stated 3 years ago, which is using radar and lidar is a crutch, and that's why the companies who do have these robo taxis running around in cities have to have them be geofenced, and because they're geofenced, that is the only reason they are able to survive out there. Once they try to go out into the wild, it's not going to work.
Yeah. There was when I was a teenager, I babysat a kid who was much too old for training wheels, and when he would ride his bike, he would just lean onto one side and ride it like a trike. And that's a great short-term solution, but at some point you got to lose the training wheels.
Right. And if these companies only want to run in geofenced city areas and that's what they're going to limit themselves to, so be it. They'll survive there. They'll be successful there. But if they want to have something real world that can be utilized everywhere, they will not succeed.
Right. And I see a lot of complaints. Oh, where's that coast to coast drive that we were promised 5 years ago? And the answer is, if you really want to, you can do it. We could fake the test. They could probably code it in a month. And especially if they did 5 or 10 tries, they would definitely get it on one of those tries if they cheated to the test.
Right.
But that would say nothing about being able to drive in your neighborhood or mine.
Right, and this is why going to worldwide release at the end of the year is so significant because, U.S. streets are different among themselves, but once you start to get to other countries, it becomes real questionable in a lot of areas. So you've got to get data from all over the world to be able to get it even smarter.
Well, they can already do it in shadow mode.
Right, yeah.
So, and I believe that's super helpful. The good news to me was I'd done a full self-drive with Jeff, who's in my chat right now, not that long ago, and he was reporting things because I took him on a path that was, I knew to be an impossible challenge, and it was. And he kept reporting things, and in my head I was thinking, does this do anything? And it looks like the answer is, yeah, these are definitely considered. These go in, they throw it on the pile, and it's as valuable as other input.
Oh yeah, and because of the fact that it's, just the quick data that comes back to them, it's not like it's a human waiting for your phone call. It's the computer taking all that data in. It's huge because it can compute it all faster than a human can. And I remember when my buddy took me on a drive, this is back in early spring, and he took me on one, and it was a short drive that we went on, but there was a roundabout, and it struggled with the roundabout. We went on it shortly thereafter, about a month later, and it took the roundabout without a problem. And this is all the way back in, I think, May we went on it. So just the progress it made in just 1 month way back then, knowing where it is now, that's huge.
Jeff also points out, you've probably seen the failures that Cruise has encountered in San Francisco. And for that matter,
Yep.
Waymo too. They've had instances where they just keep piling up in this one dead end street, and they have to come and be rescued by humans. That tells me that even the geofence solutions are struggling. And I'm curious why LiDAR. I don't think LiDAR is a crutch. I think it's too expensive for what it can do. But we'll see. We'll see. And the big thing to me is Tesla does not have to be first in FSD. I imagine this will be like a lot of other AI problems, like speech to text. Everybody was working on it, and then once one company cracked it, they all did. And I think this may be like that, but if Tesla is second to market by even a year, they'll win because they'll have 3, 4, 5 million cars they can just switch on.
Right, exactly. And it's going to be similar to like Apple with the iPhone. They came out, and Android, came out afterwards, and Android is doing very successful. They're very successful, So they clearly prove that you don't have to be first to the market. Obviously, Apple's the one who made the impact, and they're the ones who made the change. But, other people can come in and make a difference. And, as long as Tesla can do it and provide a solution, then it'll be successful.
So one thing I was saying in the comments, somebody said, don't you think all the best engineers are already there? And I said, this event could quite literally be focused at 3 or 4 very specific people they wish to recruit. And they just made it a big event so it wasn't creepy. Because I did see a number of YouTubers who got in who, especially one in particular who I won't name, is absolutely not qualified to be there as an applicant, but definitely qualified to be there in terms of coverage. So I think a lot of seats were given away to non-engineer applicants because we've already got the 6 people we needed here. So maybe.
Yeah, and judging by the questions that they had, those questions all seemed like they came from people who were engineers in their field. So
yeah.
So it sounds like a pretty solid crew they had there for recruiting. And even Elon said it himself, several times talking about how, this is the place you want to go, even talking at the end about how Tesla's not a honeypot, not one of those companies. You're going to have to work hard, you're going to have to get shit done. But, that's what Tesla's all about, and doing what's good for humanity in the future.
Yeah. So did you have any other takeaways you wanted before I let you get some sleep? Because you have to be up in 3 hours?
Well, I don't have to tomorrow. I get to sleep in tomorrow. I'll wake up at like 5:30.
Okay.
Let me see. I think there was, what else did I have in here? We hit most of that.
Yeah. And the things about Optimus getting a personality, sure, why not?
Oh, yeah.
And I did like the question at the end where the lady asked, what about, a wide variety of use cases? And the answer is yes, but the goal number 1 is getting a product out the door.
Right, exactly. And that was actually probably the last thing that I was, let me see. Yeah, that was really it too. It's the same thing. And let's get the basic thing out here. Let's make the biggest impact with the smallest amount of effort possible. So let's get the basics out there, affect the most amount of people that we can initially, and then we'll learn from there. Obviously they're working on Bumble C, moving on to Optimus. After Optimus, there's obviously going to be a lot more iterations that come out. And, and he did talk about attachments as we were talking before we even get onto the live stream, onto the show. talking about just that. We're going to have attachments. Companies will come out with third-party, pieces that are going to go onto it for whatever needs that you have. So this is all going to be coming, and it's just very exciting to see that these are the first steps, literally the first steps of humanoid robot coming, and we just saw it on stage tonight.
Yeah. And by the way, I did not get the joke at the time with Bumble C. I didn't get it until you mentioned it a few minutes back. It's like, yeah, it didn't.
It took me a minute. It was probably 5 or 10 minutes after they had said it. It's like, oh, that's what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Bumble D.
Yes.
Coming next. Yeah, so the labeling's working. It's all the pieces are there. And I agree that if you are working in this space, one question was, how come these people aren't already there if they're so good? And the answer is, maybe you're at a company where you really enjoy the project you're on, but in the past year, you get to see what's happened, how quickly it's moved, and maybe your project isn't moving along. Maybe it's time for you to do something more interesting with your talents at a company that, like Elon said, you have the freedom to be amazing.
Yeah, when it comes to that field, there's a lot of movement. I have a very good friend who gives me some inside information over at Apple. He's working on some very secret projects over there. And it's the same thing. He said Apple moves fast, but Tesla moves at least 3 times faster, if not more. That's why he hasn't gone to Tesla, strictly because of the fact that he's my age. He's 43, and he's like, it's too much for him. But you start getting these kids, 20s, early 30s, hungry still to grow. This is ideal for them. This is where they would want to go. And there's a lot of people who jump around because that field is a very hot job market.
Yeah, if I was in my 20s, maybe even early 30s, I would absolutely apply at Tesla, but I am just too old for that pace.
Like I have thought about, what, maybe I'll just go work once my son graduates, maybe I'll just go work in the factory. Screw it. Just working on the factory floor for a little while, whatever. Right. Just to feel the experience and the culture, I think would be worth it.
Yeah, and get some stock.
Yeah, exactly. That's the top reason.
Yeah. And I say I don't have energy, but here I am at 4 hours and 11 minutes, so...
Well done. We held up well for some old guys.
I know, right? It was exhausting because it was my brain, man, it's full.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely laid down on my couch to watch that. That was a good time, though. But, yeah, so oh, man, I just lost my train of thought. But, yeah, it's very exciting to see this moving forward. And oh, that's what it was. So, speaking of the stock price on Monday... I don't know. There were some things in here that definitely opened my eyes, that might open Wall Street's eyes, and I think production and delivery numbers on Sunday might change that as well.
I think production and delivery has a better chance of moving it. I think Wall Street is too focused. Yeah, Wall Street is not looking 3 to 5 years out.
No, even 3 to 5 years. It's exciting, but let's wait 3 to 5 years, knowing Elon's time frame.
That's the other problem. I am glad we didn't see a new vehicle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and Jeff just said needs to be parsed out over the next few days. That's true. If Wall Street looked at it today, they definitely don't know what they're looking at today.
Right.
They will need to hire experts to tell them what they just saw, because, well, for real. I mean, that's what they do.
And that's exactly why we're on here discussing this, because we don't know a lot of it either.
Yeah, and I've got some very smart people in my chat who helped make some sense of it along the way. Thank you guys, by the way. And I'm going to go back and watch some of the other live streams to see, the before and after. Tesla Herbert's got on Robert Scoble, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, but I know Farzad's got on James Doma, so...
Yeah, and James is, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So, also in the chat, I was reminded that you and I will have to do this again. Maybe not in this format, but do something for sure.
Yes, I will have you on my channel as a guest for sure.
That would be great.
Yes.
That would be great. One of my regulars said, wasn't me. I joke around a bit, so I get jokers. It's an occupational hazard.
We're all the same way. I love my subscribers. I gotta tell you, the comments and the whole comment section is hilarious. It's a riot.
Yeah.
They are the best.
Even there are people who give me grief all the time, like really give me grief, but they also are on my Patreon. So it's like they give me trouble with love. or at
Yes.
least dollars.
Yes, I have some of my favorite bears in my comments. I love them. They're awesome.
Yeah, well, he's not a crazy person. He just sees things very differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. It's always good to have a good, different perspective.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say to my folks, what did I miss or misunderstand? Leave me all your thoughts, your wisdom, your juicy brilliance. I don't even know why I'm doing the proper sign-off. If you're watching this far into it, I mean, you're already subscribed and all that. So that was great. Thank you so much for your time, and I will talk to you.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brian.